So let's take a look at this week's internet weather. Top of the charts for most probe ports. Not a surprise, port 23 TCP is telnet, followed by 22 TCP is SSH, and then, again, not much of a surprise, 445 is SMB. 1433 is MS SQL, 3389 RDP, 8545 TCP is the Etherium JSON-RPC port. That's for cryptocurrency mining. 80 and 81 are both web ports. 5555 is Android AD debug port, and 21 TCP rounds out the list with FTP. Most sources probing. Only one major change here, and I'll be able to explain that in just a little bit. 445 is the most sources probing. That's, again, SMB, followed by 23. 8080 is a web port. It's not exactly clear what is being scanned for there, but it has been in the top of the list for a while here. 5431 TCP, I will get to in a bit. And then 5555 we talked about. 6881, I believe, is BitTorrent, which may or may not be scanning. It may just be that you've got large amounts of BitTorrent going on. 80 ICMP is Echo Request, 81 is another web port, and 22 is SSH. That's actually fairly low for 22 in my opinion, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. So port 23 has not changed terribly much in the last 30 days. It's a number of scan sources. You can see there's been some ups and downs, but really, we're about where we started. Port 8080 has been cycling pretty regularly. This is actually a 90-day view to show that this was, even though it's in the top 10, it was actually higher 90 days ago. And it's sort of coming in around, peaking around 15,000 scan sources per hour with a low around 10,000. 445 seems to have that same shape that we've been seeing forever, a daily cycle, which is probably Windows machines being turned on at the start of a business day and turned off at the end of a business day. It does seem to be still trending slightly upwards. That's, again, 60-day view. This is the 5431. It seems to be a characteristic of Broadcom, UPNP. So Broadcom is a chip manufacturer often used in embedded Wi-Fi. Turns out that Cisco and Linksys use them heavily, so these might be compromised routers. In 2013, there was a known vulnerability that was affecting the Broadcom system-on-a-chip devices on this port. This may just be somebody looking for that older vulnerability. The sources for these scans are interesting. Mostly appear to be from two ISPs in the United States. They may be using Broadcom devices. It's not really clear at this point. But typically when you see a population so heavily tied to scanning like this, it tends to be that there are vulnerable devices that are being deployed by these ISPs, and that's the result. So you're seeing things that were compromised going back out and scanning for more. 5555 is Android ADB, actually seems to be trending downwards from what I'm seeing here. And these are devices, little set-top boxes, or maybe the, I believe that there were instructions on how to root or unlock somehow the Amazon Fire and Fire Stick TV devices, Fire TV devices, and those would expose 5555. And if those were exposed to the internet, then sure, that's your debug port, which is, another way to get access to a machine that is elevated. This is 7379. Didn't make it to the top 10, but every once in a while it seems like we see some spikes in it, so I figured I'd bring it up again. And I remember talking about this port a while back. It's been quiet, actually. This is a 60-day view, and you can see from like the 12th or 13th onwards until just this past week, wow, it was dead silent. This is the number of scan sources. And we're only really peaking out here around 450, but for a significant amount of time, there were fewer than 10 sources scanning on the internet, and then all of a sudden, boom, someone's interested. This is our 8545 that I mentioned before, the Etherium JSON-RPC, something that really shouldn't be connected to the internet. And you can see pretty significant scans, but you can see, and this is only a 30-day view, but it looks like a very much of a repeating pattern for a first while here, and then a whole chunk of that population drops out. Might have been a botnet being retasked or shut down, and then back up again.
Much more jagged after it comes back up, though.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So maybe, I'm not really sure what to make of that. And that's the internet weather.
Fantastic.